Welcome to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a
What's
light
your
on
story?
incredible. What does accessibility mean to you?
What's your mission? Welcome all to accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a light on incredible individuals and organizations and the work that they do. I am your host, Josh Basil. I'm a C4-5 quadriplegic, paralyzed, below my shoulders, and a power wheelchair user. I'm the Community Relations Manager at accessiBe and a passionate disability rights advocate and trial attorney, focused on breaking down barriers to access and inclusion for people with disabilities. Today on accessiBe Spotlight Sessions, we're joined by Vanessa Vail, the Director of Education at U.S. Center for SafeSport. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you on today's program and just to dive deeper into what Safe Sports is all about and what can be done. But before we do that, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yes. So I, as you mentioned, am the Director of Education for the U.S. Center for SafeSport. I've been with the center for 4.5 years of their almost 6-year existence. So it's kind of funny when you think 4.5 years makes me a vet, but it does. I also, in my personal life, have been a coach for the better part of 20 years for athletes of all ages. And I'm in my 15th season of having started a dance team for athletes with disabilities. So accessibility is near and dear to my heart, both personally and professionally.
That's awesome. I love hearing that. And tell us a little bit more about kind of the U.S. Center for Safe Sport and kind of the great work you're doing with para-athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the center 6 years, our mission is ending all forms of abuse in sports. So we've got a lot of different facets of that with our audit and compliance team, our response and resolution team, our marketing, education, and partnerships team, our admin team. All of us play a really important role in working to make sure that athletes, both with and without disabilities, have a positive experience in sports and making sure that it's abuse-free and that they have strong coach-athlete relationships, strong peer-to-peer relationships, and that they really leave with those important life lessons that we all know come out of sport.
And so tell us kind of more about kind of what the importance of getting the sport community to kind of understand about working together, learning together, and creating kind of free emotional, physical, and sexual abuse, preventing sexual abuse and misconduct.
Absolutely. There's a lot of important aspects of that. One is it's important to understand that abuse and misconduct can and does happen in all sports across the nation. And so it's important to recognize that it exists. And then it's also important to recognize that we all play a role in that positive sport experience. It's important that we all work together, parents, coaches, athletes, admins, everyone, officials, in really making sure that athletes are protected and strengthened through sport.
What is abuse and misconduct? What can that look like? And then what sometimes advice do you give to the coaches, to personnel, to the athletes themselves? This is such an important conversation to protect people.
It is a really important conversation. So we focus on a lot of main topics. We focus on sexual abuse, emotional and physical abuse, things like bullying, hazing, harassment. And when we talk about bringing people into the conversation and really making sure that we all play the important role that we have in creating that positive sport culture, it involves recognizing what abuse looks like. So recognizing when abuse or misconduct is happening or starting to happen, and then empowering people to be able to respond, making sure that people know how they can report both to the center and their organization, even do things that they can do in the moment, like be a strong bystander with bystander intervention. And then also in the prevention aspect, making sure that they create the environment to keep abuse and misconduct from even happening in the first place.
So much important things are going down with what you are doing and the services and the programs you're providing. It's life-changing in the sense of sport is supposed to be all about kind of giving you that competitive kind of environment, pushing you to be the best you can be. But at the same time, when you're in that environment, if there is things going behind the scenes, it can be a very, very dangerous place to be. And if we can create safer sports spaces, we allow sport to be the beauty, the awesomeness that it has to provide for young athletes or athletes of all ages, let's say it. So I applaud the work that you're doing, and I love it. I love it. For me, sports were my childhood. Like I can't imagine not having sports growing up. And I got injured when I was 18. A wave picked me up and dropped me on my head and shattered my neck. But up until that point, like you name it, every single sport that I had an opportunity to play, I competed in, and I had fun with. I was a college tennis player at the end of my athletic career as without a disability, and now I'm still pursuing sports with a disability, which it's there's so much love and benefits to having that in your life. Tell me more about the para athletes and kind of how you've been working with them, and well, what's going on in that world right now.
Absolutely. So recently, within the last couple of years, we have created a course for athletes with disabilities, creating safe and inclusive environments. And we created an advisory group with experts in many different fields, representing many different sports. And we really pulled together to say, what are the aspects that are both unifying for athletes with disabilities that are identical to the experience of athletes without disabilities, and what are some of the unique aspects that we really need to make sure that we pull out and highlight. And so we created a course called Creating Safe and Inclusive Environments for Athletes with Disabilities that really focuses on that. And we're very proud of the work that we put into that, and with our amazing experts from the advisory group as well.
And as you're building out those programs or even doing research or studying kind of the overall kind of landscape of sports programs throughout the country, are you seeing major differences between communities, whether it's persons without disabilities, people with disabilities, or even within communities from ethnicity, gender, you name it, like all aspects of age? Like what are you learning about misconduct and abuse throughout the different communities?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And it's interesting because we serve so many different sports, so many different communities, and we serve those within the Olympic and Paralympic movement, and also work with many organizations outside of the movement who also prioritize athlete safety. There are a lot of unique aspects from sport to sport, things that make that sport very unique. Things like age. Some sports have a lot of very young athletes. A lot of sports have a lot of older athletes or who are primarily made of adults. And so with that, we notice those differences among those sports. And then also, we've noticed that even though each sport is very unique, that there's a lot of unifying factors. That's actually one of the greatest things about sport, is that it brings us together and that everyone wants to have a positive experience. Everyone enjoys the life lessons that come out of sport, the physicality of sport, the way it challenges you mentally, the relationships you make through sport. And so we've learned a lot about some of those unifying factors as well. And it's been interesting to notice those things across athletes with and without disabilities, that everybody wants to have a positive experience in sports. So when we're talking about athlete safety and keeping athletes protected, recognizing abuse, creating a positive sport environment, it looks the same across every group nationwide. In small communities where maybe funding is small, they have a very small group, it's just a couple clubs that get together after school, to incredibly large organizations that have nationwide reach, that are able to do a lot of different things, a lot of travel. Everybody wants to have a safe and positive experience.
And if people want to learn more about how to get access to this information, these trainings, these services, could you share your website and help people, guide them through what they should do when they go to your website?
Absolutely. We would love for people to come to our website, and we've worked to make sure that our website is accessible. So our website is uscenterforsafesport.org. And if people are interested in our training specifically, we would love to direct them to safesporttraining.org, safesporttrained.org.
I love that. And I'm also curious, within your programs, are these services also directed kind of to the private side of sports, like, or are you also helping school systems across the country?
Yeah, so we have a course that we've partnered with NFHS, and we work with them to reach a lot of high school coaches. And also we have outside groups that we work with outside of the Olympic and Paralympic movement that are some school coaches that, and interestingly enough, a lot of school coaches also cross over and are coaches in the Olympic and Paralympic movement as well. So really, we would love to work with as many coaches as possible, both those in the movement and as well as those in the school realm.
I love that. Getting to everybody, because these are important conversations. At the end of the day, the thing that's going to make the biggest difference is the education and awareness. A lot of people just don't know that these problems exist or that they're happening or how to recognize them and how to prevent them. It's without having the right conversations, just we create an environment that allow kind of abuse to happen, and you're trying to prevent that, which is amazing.
Absolutely, Josh, you nailed it. It's just starting off by being able to have the conversations and recognizing that it does exist and being comfortable starting to have those conversations. You can both talk about some of the uncomfortable stuff like abuse and misconduct in sport, and also be equally passionate about making a positive sport environment.
And what to do when it does happen or it's starting
Exactly,
to happen.
and how to recognize it and how to report it to make sure that we have a positive experience for everyone.
Yeah, no, my injury taught me to be an advocate for life. But no matter your abilities, disabilities, we all need to advocate for ourselves, protect the people we care about, our friends, our teammates, you name it. We've got to stand up for ourselves.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, what does the word accessibility mean to you?
So personally, when I had started my dance team, I started it because I wanted every athlete to have a seat at the table. I wanted athletes to be able to have every opportunity as athletes without disabilities. And so it really means, similarly, for the center, accessibility means that every learner can access our materials, that they can interact with information in the ways that work best for them, and that every athlete with or without disabilities can see themselves and their sport experiences in the things that we offer, in the ways that they can interact with what we do.
I love that. And if you had one message for the business community, what would that be? And why it's so important to include people with disabilities, athletes with disabilities, and the entire disability community?
Absolutely. I think my one message is to just don't be afraid to start. There are a myriad of ways in which you can enhance your accessibility, and in the ways in which you can start learning about how to create a positive sport environment, how to help prevent abuse and misconduct. And oftentimes that can then cause you to sort of freeze and not understand maybe where to start first. And it doesn't matter where, just pick a place and start. Think of the ways in which individuals interact with your organization and pick one of those ways and start to enhance the experience for those individuals. And every movement forward counts.
Vanessa, that is a fantastic answer. I love that. But Vanessa, again, thank you so much for being our guest today on accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions. You've been amazing, and just thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Josh. I've really enjoyed my time. Thank you so much today.
And to all of our guests, thank you for staying to the end. Until next time, take care, everyone.